Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Games Up Podcast. My name is Cameron, and I'm joined by that one there.
Hello, I am here. I am here as always.
How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. It's a week before E3, which means that lots of big things are happening and very few little things are happening, but the big things are kind of spoilers and the little things are sort of mini spoilers. It's been a weird week for games. It's been a weird week. Lewis, jump me right into our first story of the week. What is going on?
Oof, okay. So, over the last week or so, Bethesda have been putting out hints and tips. Not tips.
Hints and tips.
What do you call them?
Teasers.
Little references to Fallout. And they've now revealed that it's going to be called a new Fallout game called Fallout 76. And not much more than that was actually revealed in the actual teaser. That people, it was interesting. The stream started, I think, 24 hours before the actual reveal. So some people were watching this thing for a long time, hoping that something would happen, and it didn't until the next day. And yeah, so all we really got was its name, but we kind of got some interesting kind of video, but nothing too dissimilar from the other Fallout trailers in the past.
So it was done quite cleverly. They put up a please stand by image, which everyone knows means Fallout, and started a stream with the the Vault Boy figure in front of it. And the stream got weirder and weirder with people jumping in front of the camera and stuff going on and little visual glitches and this, that, the other. And then at the end of it, Todd Howard came on, which is quite a big thing that Todd Howard's involved. Todd Howard came on, said, "Hello, we've kept you waiting for 24 hours, so now we're going to show you a trailer for our new game." And it started off in basically the same shot that it did with the Fallout 3 trailer, which was quite clever, and then pulled back to reveal that actually it was not a remaster of Fallout 3. It was, in fact, as you said, Fallout 76. Yes.
So the interesting thing is that Jason... Yeah, from Kotaku, who's kind of famous for kind of being accurate with these kind of little rumors, and usually if the rumor's on Kotaku, it usually means something is quite likely to happen. Came out and said that anyone who spends the next 2 weeks expecting it to be a normal Fallout game, a new traditional single-player RPG, will be very disappointed. And then we got a different news article a few days ago, saying that it's kind of inspired by Rust and DayZ, I think it is. From what we understand, it was kind of started off as this idea of Fallout 4 Online, and then it kind of turned into this other project. So I'm interested about this one, but the problem I have with it is I'm just not sure if it's for me at this stage.
So it's kind of weird to pin down exactly what it is because we're not entirely sure yet. Bethesda have only released the trailer. Everything else has been pieced together from leaks and inside information and various sources. The general... There's two sort of trails of thought at the minute. The first trail of thought, as you say, is that it started off life as a test bed for Fallout multiplayer, i.e. could we have multiple people playing the same Fallout game? Almost like a mini MMO, not like Elder Scrolls level of MMO, but like a Fallout world with multiple people in. And then it became either a multiple people playing Fallout, kind of like a cross between 4-player Borderlands and Fallout, or it became an online RPG similar to Rust with lots of building elements. So people seem to think it's more about it's like a survival online game thing.
Yeah.
More so than a traditional story RPG. Although people have come out to say that there will be like traditional story elements, just not necessarily as you'd think of them in Fallout. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it working. I'm just not overly sure that kind of thing is for me. It's I guess I'm more traditional and I didn't really like Rust. If that is what it is. You know, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that, when it is fully kind of revealed, probably aren't going to be too happy. I'll be honest with you. It's going to be, I think it's going to be something that's not going to be received overly well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be very much the first album problem of they're trying something new, but people want much the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great trailer, and it's really cool to see Fallout back. I don't think anybody predicted a new Fallout. I mean, like, our predictions included a new Fallout game, but that was the kind of that would be crazy moment, and it's actually kind of happened. And we said, Bethesda's bringing something big to the show, and I still don't think they're done with their reveals. So we'll see what this actually means and when it comes out and all that kind of jazz. Do you think it's coming out soon?
Yeah, because I think it's working on the back of Fallout 4. And I think based on that, they probably haven't had to do too much, I guess. Considering that if it is, as we kind of expected to be something like Rust, there already is like building parts of the game. There already is a lot of the elements that you would need, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I think it's soon.
I'm with you. I think Fallout... I think they had a huge amount of success with the 6-month turnaround thing that they had from last year. Not last year, from a couple of years ago when they showed off Fallout, and I think, I think they know that they can do the reveal it and release it within 6 months and have that turn to their success. So, yeah, good things. That was not the only big reveal that we got this week. Another big reveal, which I don't think we were expecting, was the reveal of the next Assassin's Creed game. It came after a leak. Somebody showed online a little keyring of a Greek helmet with the word Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Assassin's Creed Odyssey above it. And then to quickly sort of attack the leak, Ubisoft showed off a clip of somebody kicking a Greek soldier off a mountain with the words "See you at E3, Assassin's Creed Odyssey."
They wanted to choose the oldest meme possible to advertise Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
So as a bit of context here, this is the 11th Assassin's Creed game in a row to leak its existence. They have not released 11 games without us knowing what they are before they revealed them. Whoever does their marketing either is one of the best leakers on the planet, and that's brilliant marketing strategy, or needs to be fired, like, so badly.
Yeah, there's definitely some leaker in the actual company. Probably should try and like pin that down a little bit. Yeah.
It's Yves Guillemot. He just can't stand Assassin's Creed anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, so Greece, as we expected. I mean, we can talk about kind of what we want from it in some sense, but just in terms of what's there already, we kind of expected it to be 2 years, or at least another year before we heard from it.
So I read up on this, and actually, this is probably not as bad a thing as we think it is. Origins was delayed by a year, but they put 2 teams making Assassin's Creed games at the same time. So Origins and Odyssey started development roughly at the same time on the same cycle. So when Origins was delayed by a year, Odyssey's release cycle was as well. If we'd got a 2-year cycle from title to title, this game would have actually been delayed twice before we even knew it existed. So it's possible that Odyssey is in a better shape than we really gave it credit for.
Okay, now that is an interesting point, and I guess it's also... It's worth saying that traditionally this is how the games have kind of been done in some sense. In the sense that, like, obviously they kind of built a joint engine and then made 2 different games or 3 different games on the same engine, which is kind of what's been happening throughout the series. So it's not overly surprising, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, okay. To be honest, though, like in this case, it's got a proper build. One of the problems with Syndicate is that it's built on Unity. And this is going to be built on a game that's actually quite good. I know you liked Uni a little bit.
Well, no, but it's funny though because Unity is a glitchy as hell game, but I think there's a lot of promise there. And I've been playing through Syndicate this week, and it's just a fucking shit show of a game. Like, it's so bad, and I think it's really interesting that Origins is a very good game that clearly has a good engine behind it. So Odyssey could either be the thing that, like, proves that Assassins has the point now, it proves that AC is back and back for good, or it could Syndicate it.
See, it's funny you say that because Syndicate's the one that like people receive. It was received well after Unity.
I, yeah, but I feel like that's kind of Stockholm syndrome, right? Like after
Yeah, no,
after
I get that. He's kind of yeah. Yeah, the great thing about both Unity and Syndicate, the best thing about the whole thing is its draw distance is like nothing on the Xbox, and not just the Xbox. I don't know if it's similar on the PC, but on both the PlayStation and the Xbox, the draw distance is non-existent.
I'm I'm at a point with it now where I'm so like it's so dated, and you think it only came out like 2 and a bit years ago. It's such a dated title. Like some of the design decisions just make so little sense. Some of the menus make so little sense. The ins and outs make so little sense, and you think this is the last one before Origins. Like this is the last one before they literally revolutionized the franchise. What the hell?
Yeah, no, totally, and I'm really excited for it to see because I think like the nice thing about the way that they're doing this series, I guess, is that you know London's was interesting, but there's not much there in terms of like I guess like ancient history or grand history, let's call it. Whereas I think going through Egypt, Greece, and then Rome, which we can assume pretty much it's going to be Rome,
Yeah, yeah.
will really kind of add like a great deal of flavor to it. I think there is also I've heard numerous rumors that in this one there's more than just Greece involved, and that it's a bit more like Brotherhood, or more like Two, where we actually visit multiple places throughout the game that are kind of spread out.
Ooh, ooh, that would be exciting.
I mean, like that's one of the things I really love about Assassin's Creed 2 is that you're kind of jet setting all the time. Um, it's a real kind of big grand adventure because you aren't kind of fixed to one place and you kind of go to all these different locations that have different themes and stuff. So that's one of the rumors, at least. I don't know too much about that, but yeah, no, there's definite potential for this one, and I'm tentatively excited for seeing it. Hopefully at E3.
Now, my question to you is: do you think that's Aya on in that image?
Oh,
Because that character looks like an assassin to me, but it doesn't look like Aya in the slightest. I think.
yeah. Oh, I don't know. No, I mean, I suppose it's hard to say whether that means anything as it is. I think, like, regardless, I mean, we still don't know yet which character we are, who we are, if we are going to be Aya, if we are going to be, yeah, Bayek. But no, I mean, it's clearly not Aya. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder whether we might just have different origin stories.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
There's potential for it.
Hmm.
Something along the lines of like this. We've kind of been Aya and Bayek. Maybe we play a different character in this one who's got like a Greek origin.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. Could be interesting. Either way, an Assassin's Creed we didn't expect to see is going to be at E3, so that's pretty cool.
It's Kratos.
Do you do you think that's all the Ubisoft surprises?
Well, Splinter Cell. It's still very rumored that Splinter Cell is going to happen, and I'm really quite hoping it does because I really liked Blacklist,
Yeah.
the most recent one, and yeah, with any luck.
I mean, when Ubisoft put out their E3 call, they said this franchise, The Division 2, Beyond Good and Evil, and a surprise.
Yeah.
So, is this it, or is this? I don't know. We'll see. Because surely this would like the thing that gets me is they've always had and they've always absolutely nailed the one more thing.
Yeah.
And this doesn't feel to me like a one more thing. Because it's got to be out soon, I think. Like, I don't think they're teasing this for 18 months. I think this is probably out this year.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like their one last thing is a tease of an Assassin's game and then that's it. Like, I feel like there's probably a bit more up their sleeve.
Yeah, I think it very likely that we're going to see something else. It's I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm excited.
The next big reveal that came out of the week is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. The games had been rumored for a while. People had uncovered marketing assets that showed off those titles, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and people had rumored integration with Pokemon Go. I don't quite think we would have guessed how deep the integration is, though. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is basically a remaster of Yellow. It's a remaster of Yellow that's sort of a spiritual successor to what Yellow did, all wrapped into one. It's a bit complicated. It's a 3D game. It's a traditional Pokemon RPG with the first 151 Pokemon, but you can catch them in Pokemon Go as well. If you have them, you can transfer them over, and any shinies you have will stay shiny, so that's cool. And the catching mechanics for the game now are not battles like they used to be. Instead, you'll find these Pokemon in the wild and have to sort of imitate a Pokemon Go catching screen with the Nintendo Switch. There's been a very mixed reaction to this, I think. I am so into this.
There's a surprise. Person who's super into Pokemon Go likes it. So the mixed reaction's interesting.
Sorry, hold the fucking headlines. Person who likes Pokemon game likes Pokemon game.
Whatever. The reaction's been mixed, I guess, because I guess for one thing, people were hoping this was Pokemon Switch in some sense, and I think that it's confirmed that there's going to be another Pokemon RPG in 2019, so next year.
Yeah.
This game is Pokemon Yellow remade. With a better engine in 3D, better engine. It's like such an odd game in 3D with mechanics, and I don't know. People are kind of feel like they're going to miss the traditional way of catching things with the random battles, which is interesting. I also think that if I was actually interested in it and was going to get it, which I'm not really, but if I was, I'd be quite worried about the progression. If the progression was tied to Pokemon Go, then that would kind of worry me quite a bit for its speed.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I do have a couple of worries about the game. My biggest worry is balance. Because the game's coming out late this year, I think October. And by that time, like, a lot of Pokemon Go players will be even more powerful than they are now. Like, if you go out and play Pokemon Go now, there are some people who will likely dominate the scene in your local area, and it probably won't be hard to get a pretty good, full Pokedex in that time. I, for example, got a friend of the show, I won't name them, but I got a friend of the show into the game in January when I saw them over the new year, and they now have, like, a fairly healthy Pokedex and a bunch of shinies and a bunch of legendaries, and I'm thinking, if you can transfer stuff, which I like the idea of and the way they're doing that mechanic, I'll talk about in a second, but if you can effectively give yourself a chance to catch them in that game, what's the incentive to play it through like a traditional RPG?
Yeah, exactly. And you have to wonder about, as you say, balance, and it's just along the lines of, like, if I can transfer my max level Pokemon in Pokemon Go, whatever, I don't know, high level, I don't know these things. If I can transfer that over, then can I just dominate the entire game? Does the game become nothing? And then what if the opposite happens? What if, you can transfer things over and all of a sudden you're the best Pokemon player in the world? Can you hear my fatigue?
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you know, actually, I'll probably get Pokemon RPG when it eventually comes out. But it's just, I think this isn't really too interesting for me.
So what is it about this that doesn't get you going, as it were?
I just want... Forget me going, jeez. To be honest, I just want Pokemon Colosseum on the GameCube, but to be on Switch. So that's basically it.
So what is it about this game that you don't like, Lewis? Well, basically, it's not this very specific game from a couple of generations ago, so...
Basically, yeah, that's it. If it was, then maybe things would be different. Yeah.
No, I think this is really good. There's been a lot of like weird bollocks fanboy rage about it because it's not the next Pokemon game, and I I don't think the next Pokemon, like they announced the next Pokemon game last year with a guy in an office looking at a camera screen. That game was never coming out this year. Like, even in our wildest predictions, that game was never coming out this year. And I think the fact that not only are we getting a good Pokemon game this year, but a good 3D Pokemon game this year with a new set of mechanics and an interesting story and this is more work than needs to be done for a remaster, and that's a good thing. I have a lot of respect for that. I think this could easily be a Pokemon Switch point 5, and like if that's not going to get in the way of making Pokemon Switch, I don't get why people are pissed off about it. It looks fun. It looks great. Like,
yeah, exactly. And I think, despite all the kind of worries about it, I think when it comes out, people will still get it. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. And finally, this week, we kept the big one for last.
yeah.
The final reveal of the week was Lego DC Supervillains, which is the next in a series of Lego-style games, which is fairly well known at this point. You build stuff to solve puzzles, you collect coins. It's a sort of...
You destroy your own bases. That's the most fun part about it. The least sensical part of Lego games is that you spend most of the game destroying your own stuff to get points. So literally, like you'll be Batman and you'll be like, "Oh, let's just destroy my own base." Gets all the Lego money, whatever it is.
This is the fourth Lego DC game, following Batman, Batman 2, Batman 3 in space. And then this one is themed on the anti-heroes or the villains. So it's not sort of based around Batman. It's based around the Joker and Harley Quinn and the Flash and Lex Luthor and all this jazz. It seems like they might be sort of tilting towards the Suicide Squad marketing edge. I wonder if maybe we should expect news on that movie soon.
Yeah. I'm quite excited for this. I don't know if you know, I pretty much get all those Lego games. And, you know, they're great to play through with a partner. And the one that I've always enjoyed is the very first Lego Batman, which is like... any ideas how long ago that game was?
I'm going to say 2003 or 2007.
I looked it up and it doesn't tell me. So it was... not even 2008.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that's like one of the first ones that was released, if I remember correctly, as well, alongside Star Wars.
Yeah.
And one of the good features of that game was the ability to play as a villain, and that kind of was in Lego Batman 3 actually, but not in the same way, not as being a villainous character. Yeah. And so it's been something that's been requested for quite a while, is Lego villains, and so it's nice to see them do it.
I think there's something specific that you mean. So Lego Batman 1, 2, and 3 had the chance to play as villains, but Lego 1 had like a specifically like flipped central story.
It's play as villains but be villainous, I guess, as opposed to just being like able to choose that character.
Yeah, so you were doing the opposite of Batman and sort of setting up the levels that you would then play as Batman. So you were very much being the bad guys. I really hope they do a similar thing here. I hope that you play through as the villains and then there's a little section or two of playing Batman at the end and sort of putting an end to it all.
Yeah.
Because I can't see Lego being like, hey, it's cool, the Joker won.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think how they did it in the first one.
Well, in the first one, you play as the characters setting up the level before you go in as Batman. So at the end of each level, Batman can capture the villain, but you get to play as the villain setting up for him, if that makes sense.
Okay. Or maybe they go down the Suicide Squad route.
And make a terrible film.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things I really want from this, and I don't know that we'll get them because I don't think this sounds quite like Lego Batman 4, as in I don't think it's being given quite the same scope and treatment, as it were. I'd be surprised if it was. I would really like to see this return to a Lego Batman 2 style world. I think the open world in Batman 2 is one of the best in the Lego games and something that they've not quite managed to return to yet. And And I'd also like to see them make it a little bit less spread out and collectathon-y. I'd like the stuff you pick up to mean a bit more than it did in Batman 3. But I'm right there with you.
I know what you mean.
I've bought all the DC Lego stuff that's come out, and I love playing it with people and friends and partners. And yeah, absolutely, they're great games.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I do hope that they get the open world right, because I think Lego Batman 2 definitely did set like a really good pace for that.
How much of Batman 3 did you play?
What's that?
How much of Batman 3 did you play and get through?
Oof, I want to say all of it.
As in 100%?
No, I haven't 100% them in a while. But no, I didn't get everything, because I remember I think I got everything in the levels, but I didn't get everything in the world.
Well, because I was going to say there was a huge amount to do in the stuff to 100% it. They basically they had several planets worth of things to do, quite literally.
I remember this, and some of them were like do 10 racing challenges, and
yeah, and it was quite obtuse, to be honest, by the end of it. Like me and Jess 100%ed it recently because we quite enjoy the games, and it was fun to do it with somebody, but nonetheless you were still kind of begrudgingly like, okay, I'll do this same race again to get a block that doesn't mean much. I hope they kind of scale back a little bit on those things.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, and yeah, I could see that being a good idea.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of this week's show. Our topic of the week this week was sort of the big releases and the big reveals that came out this week, because a week before E3, there's not a great deal that we can talk about other than E3.
Mostly it's the dubious and potentially completely false rumors that come out at this stage.
Lewis, tell me, what is the rumor you've seen that you're the most excited about?
Oh, it's so putting me on the spot.
I know.
I was ridiculously unprepared for it. Sunset Overdrive 2. Remember that? This is just like a rumor I remember.
So interestingly, Sunset Overdrive 2 came from... The person who rumored that they rumored Fallout 76 a day before it was revealed. So people are saying there's don't take that with as big a grain of salt as you might take with Jonathan Nobody, who posts an image of Nintendo saying, "Do not share this Super Mario Sunshine 2 or whatever."
It's such a weird rumor though for Sunset Overdrive 2, because it kind of... this is an interesting one, but essentially, from what we understand with Sunset Overdrive, the reason that it took them a while to get funding and the reason it's an exclusive to Microsoft is because they wanted to keep hold of the IP. Mm-hmm. Now, there's no way that Sunset Overdrive 2 would be coming from Insomniac. It would seem, because they're busy. And so it would be weird if it then came from another studio, unless, because Sunset Overdrive didn't do the expectations, they just kind of went, actually, you know how we tried so long to keep hold of this? Now that it didn't do that well, actually, we're okay. We'll sell it to Microsoft.
So, a couple of people that I follow did some digging on this, and actually, it might not be quite as absurd as at first you think. We've known for a while that Insomniac is a couple of teams. There is the main team that's working on Spider-Man at the minute, but there has also been a second team for quite a while. They made that game that GameStop published that was all C-based. I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head, but they made that game a few years ago. And from the development timeline that people can see of Spider-Man's been developed for about 4 and a bit years, which is exactly the same time as the team from that GameStop game, and we think potentially a second B team wrapped up production and post-mortem on that GameStop game, which means that there is at least one team in Insomniac at the minute doing something that nobody knows of. Now, Insomniac owns the Sunset Overdrive license. They've made that very clear. And they've also made it very clear on quite a number of occasions that it's not being made, so it seems like if it does get revealed next year, or if it does get revealed next week, it will either be a smaller scale game, it will either be not coming soon, or it will be something that sort of looks different than it first did. Either that or they've lied for 3 years straight, which seems unlikely. So I'm not holding my breath yet, but I don't think there's a little more wiggle room than first thought, potentially. But again, probably not.
Yeah, I don't know with that one. It just seems quite unlikely to me. because of the reasons said.
Yeah.
I don't know why I chose that as my most exciting.
I imagine it was to troll me.
No, honestly, it was just that I haven't got anything on the top of my head.
The one that's most exciting that I've seen is, and I'm saying it purely because it's realistic. Like I've seen rumors about everything from Half-Life 3 to like
Half-Life 3 Battle Royale.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah, those kind of rumors that are just never going to happen. But the one I have seen rumored quite convincingly is a sequel to Overcooked.
Oh yeah.
And I could 100% believe that is announced and revealed at one of the conferences and like, you know, out in a couple of months. So yeah, I'd be down as fuck for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And yeah, I'd be excited for it. Even though I found it annoying, a game.
Did you?
It's too challenging. It's too hard.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the week before E3. Always a very, very weird week, but always one of our favourites. You need to join us next week when E3 happens, because we're not going to be publishing a regular podcast. The reason being because E3 will be happening at the time we publish a regular podcast. So what we're going to do instead is do our usual reviews and reactions to every one of the conferences, potentially missing EA. We'll update you about that as we know. But to every one of the conferences, and then a wrap-up podcast saying what we thought of EA that year. We'll also be streaming some games every now and then, depending on how much sleep we get in between these conferences that happen at god-awful times in the morning in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit hard to be too positive about playing games when it's kind of 5 a.m. So yeah, we'll see.
And the other thing is, like, if we put out a Facebook message to all our UK-based people that listen and say, "Hey, does anybody want to watch us play Overcooked 2, for example?" Everyone's like, "No, it's 5 o'clock on a Sunday. Go to bed."
Yeah, totally.
So thank you very much for joining me for this slightly smaller episode, Lewis.
Yes, it's been interesting, different, and obviously hyping up next week.
Hype. Gatorade, get hype.
I'll be getting my my Mountain Dew and Doritos at the ready. I think it's like a tradition now. I have to bring them to the Microsoft show.
Bring them to the Microsoft show. You mean to my living room for the Microsoft show?
Yes, I will literally do it because it makes me giggle.
Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. You can catch this show every week at 6:30 on a Monday on YouTube, and we publish on iTunes much earlier that day. And you can find us at Games Upcast on Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week. Until then, the game is... Oh, there we go. Got it working again. Up. Bye.
The game is ooh.